Hey everyone, my name's Drew. I'm part of Intuit's Customer Success team here in the Sydney office, and I'm here today to answer some frequently asked questions around bank feeds in QuickBooks Online. We've made some massive improvements to our bank feeds platform, and we've got a bunch of changes going on around direct bank feeds. So I hope to answer any questions that might be out there today and hopefully make things a little more clear. Usually I'm a behind the scenes kind of guy working with the customer care team here, but today I thought I'd get out in front and help dispel some of those questions that are out there and clarify a little bit what's going on with QuickBooks bank feeds. So there's a lot to cover. It should only take about 10 minutes though, so I'll jump right in now. So the first thing to say is that we spent the past few months in QuickBooks upgrading our online banking platform. So in the past, you might have seen issues like duplicate transactions, missing transactions, issues with bank stability or outages, and even inaccurate transaction categorization. Well, the great news is that the past few months of work have paid off, and we've completed that upgrade for literally 99.9% of our customers, with the last few files being migrated over in the next few weeks here. And the new platform has early results showing massive reductions in some of these exact issues we're talking about, duplicate and missing transactions, and improving the categorization that we've got in QuickBooks. So early signs are showing us great success here, but I will say if you do continue to see any of these types of issues in your file, please let our customer care team know right away. We're working actively to investigate these issues and working very closely with our development teams to ensure that anytime we do see anything like this cropping up, we actually solve it at the root cause so we don't continue to see these issues happening in QuickBooks. So that's great news around the investment and the upgrade to the platform. But there's another way that we can also improve some of the stability of our bank feeds, and that's through direct bank feeds. Now, a lot of times when we talk about direct bank feeds, folks don't quite understand what we're talking about, or they'll even say, hey, I already have a bank feed. Why are you asking me to upgrade or change my bank feed to this direct thing? And so hopefully I can clear some of that up here. So typically in QuickBooks Online in the past, we talk about a standard bank feed. This is where your transactions are pulled in from your bank's internet banking website. So that means it's entirely dependent on your credentials. This is where you enter your user ID and password into QuickBooks Online, and it authenticates with your bank website in order to be able to pull those transactions in. This type of connection is what's prone to those data quality issues that we're talking about and the widespread outages that we can see over an entire bank. And the other thing to note as well is since it's dependent on those credentials, if you update your password or you have a token, then your connection will break. You'll see an error in QuickBooks, and we won't be able to pull in those transactions until you go into QuickBooks and update those credentials once again. The other thing to say is that standard feeds do allow for up-to-the-minute downloads. So you can always go to that banking page and click the update button, and it'll bring in, the most recently cleared transactions from your bank's website. All of this is in contrast to our direct bank feeds. Now with direct bank feeds, rather than pulling from your internet banking website, there's actually a data file being sent from your bank that QuickBooks is consuming. And this means that all those data quality issues that we see with duplicate or missing transactions, those are virtually eliminated because we're getting that direct record from the bank in the data file. The other important thing here is that there's only a one-time authorization needed for direct feeds. So you can change your password as much as you like or have a token on this account, and you'll never see an error there because you just have to complete that authorization a single time. We're not relying on your credentials to get access. Now, this authorization can either be a form that you have to print out, sign, and then email back to us, or it can sometimes be a web authorization where you actually sign into QuickBooks, click a few buttons, and then you sign into your bank site to authorize the connection. So I'll actually demo two of those experiences here in just a moment. The last thing to note on direct bank feeds is that those data files are only sent once daily. So going in to click that update button on the banking page won't be able to bring in the up-to-the-minute transactions, but you will get that super accurate data file in a batch once per day with all your transactions from the previous day. So that's a little about how standard and direct bank feeds work, but when it comes to direct bank feeds, how do I get started and which banks can I do this for? Well, that's what we want to explain here. Now, by far the hottest topic right now is Commonwealth Bank. Now, Commonwealth Bank is going through a change where standard connections will no longer be supported for their accounts. So everyone is actually needing to move into a direct bank feed. And this is true for both QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Self-Employed. So with Commonwealth Bank, we do require that authorization form to be printed and signed, but that can actually be emailed into our team. You can even take a clear photo with your smartphone and send that into us through email. When it comes to credit cards, those authorization forms actually must be posted. There's no email option for credit card. And the last thing to note on CommBank is that personal credit cards actually won't be supported for feeds at all, but you can use our CSV import process for CommBank in order to bring those transactions in for those personal credit cards. Now I'll go through and demo the CommBank enrollment process here in just a moment so you can see that. Now with Westpac, the story is significantly different. Westpac actually has one of our web auth connections where basically you sign into the QBO site, click a few buttons, then you hop over to the Westpac site, click a few buttons there, and you're connected. So that means no form is needed. And this is supported for business and personal accounts. Credit cards aren't supported for this type of direct feed with Westpac, but we do still have the option for standard feeds for those. The other great thing to say is that it only takes about 48 hours for your Westpac connection to be all the way authorized and your transactions to be flowing in. And the story is really similar for ANZ as well. ANZ also has this web authorization experience where you don't need any kind of form. And this is supported for both business and personal accounts and even business credit cards in the case of ANZ. Now, we also have a handful of other banks that follow our typical authorization form process. That includes NAB, St. George, Bendigo, and the others you see here. In these cases, it's only the banking transactional accounts that are supported, but credit cards can all be connected through standard feeds. So for these, you do have to print and sign that authorization form, but again, you can email that form into us, and I personally like the idea of using the smartphone just so it's nice and simple. So that's a little about where we support our direct bank feeds, but here's how you can actually enroll them in 2 of those experiences. The process is much the same for most banks, but I'll show you for Commonwealth Bank to start when we're talking about an authorization form. So the first place you need to go is right inside of your QuickBooks Online in the Banking tab. If you currently have a standard feed connected for one of our supported direct feeds accounts, you'll see this little upgrade banner here. Now, in this case, I've already taken action, but this is where you would see the Get Direct Bank Feeds link, and you could click here to start the process. Now, here's how the process actually works. So you choose the bank that you want to connect to. In this case, we'll use CommBank, and we choose the option to Get Direct Bank Feeds. Now, once you do this, QuickBooks will walk you through the information it needs to fill out that authorization form. So it'll ask you for the account name, the account number and BSB, and in that client name field, you can just put the account holder's name there. And we also ask for the name of the organization if this is registered against a business, or if it's just for an individual, you can just write the word individual there. And then you fill out the names of any account signatories. And once you've filled out all this information here, you click the next button and QuickBooks Online is actually going to automatically generate that form for you with all the details pre-filled in for you. So here's an example of what that form will look like. So all the information at the top is filled in based on what you've entered there, and your account details are filled in. One important thing to note here is that you do need a single form for each account that you want to connect. So you can't come down here and add additional accounts. It's important that you go back to QuickBooks and you repeat that authorization form process to generate one form per account. Now, you could send all those forms to us at the same time. That's no problem, but just make sure each account you want to connect has its own unique form. And if you go down to the bottom of the form, you'll see the rest of the information is filled out with the name and date. All you need to do is sign the form right here. Once it's signed, then you go ahead and send an email that contains this form, either by scanning in this form or by taking a photo with your smartphone. And you just send it right to our email address here. That'll send it off to our processing team. Then you can come back into QuickBooks Online and you can monitor the status here in the same box. So it'll be updated letting you know what the current status is. If you ever have any questions about what the status of your account application is, just come back to this page. You should be able to refresh and see where we are currently with authorizing that. And the great thing to note is that your standard feed will continue to update until we finalize that authorization. So you won't experience any kind of data gap through this process. So that's how CommBank and most of our other banks will work, but let's take a look at one of our web authorization experiences. Here we'll look at Westpac. So in this case, the process starts pretty much the same, where you choose which bank you want to connect to. We're choosing Westpac here. And we choose the options to get direct bank feeds. Now it'll ask us for some of the same information, just needs to know the account name, number, and BSB. And once you filled it in here, instead of generating a form for you to fill out, it's just going to generate a unique code for you. So we'll enter our account number and BSB. And on the next page, we'll get QuickBooks to give us that code with the copy button. And when we got that code here on the screen, we will go ahead and choose the copy option, as we can see right here. Now this code is what we'll actually need to paste into our Westpac site. So after you've copied the code, just continue on through the flow to the Westpac site. And once you signed into your Westpac login, you'll see the section that's called Services and Preferences. So you just choose that option, choose Bank Feeds, and on this next page, well, here's where you fill in the information for how you want to connect your feed. From the drop down here at the top, you just choose the account at Westpac that you want to connect. You choose your software, which will of course be QuickBooks, and you paste in that unique code. So just paste it directly from the clipboard on your computer since you copied it in the previous step. Enter in your email address in case we need to get in touch with you, and click the Connect Feed button. That's all you need to do for the Westpac connection, and you are ready to go. You can come right back to the banking page to check the status at any time. So there you have it. That's 10 quick minutes of the recent updates to bank feeds in QuickBooks. I hope you found it informative and helpful, but if you have additional questions, feel free to browse our knowledge base or reach out to our customer care team. We're happy to help and answer any additional questions you might have. So thanks everyone for watching, and have a great day.